Imagine this. Born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and though a major city, it was too small for your visions. So you leave the journey to the Big Apple, New York City. You instantly pave your way into the mega marketing capital of the world and create an instant footprint. Branding became your niche, and your success leads you back to your hometown connects. You take a moment to expand your expertise in the corporate world, but your heart and soul remain with being a curator and creative. Today, you're betting on yourself as a creative director and building a brand here in Las Vegas. Walk this journey with our guests. This is The Plug, people lending us game.
I am the plug. I am the plug. I am the plug. I am the plug.
Welcome to The Plug. I'm your host, Henry Crockett.
Andrea B.
I am Nick Beam.
And welcome back for another episode. And now earlier, from our first episode, we really discussed our community involvement and our concerns with following and supporting our local teams. But specifically, we talked about the Raiders.
Yes, sir.
And I know with discussing our standard flow and friction, I know that there were some questions that you had about the community involvement with the Raiders, Nick.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously with the Raiders being our newest professional team in the city, football is a major thing for us in America. Right. And so my biggest concern, we're going to spend a lot of time, the majority of our time with flow and friction and our buzz in the city, is because the Raiders is a local team, it's our home team, but it's also a national football team.
Right.
So my biggest thing with them being an organization is branding. Mm-hmm. And what type of brand are they, exposing to the community? What engagement that they had or have? And for me personally, I haven't seen any publicity on their engagement.
Right.
So my biggest question is, how will they, if they haven't, engage the community? The community needs to know that they're here. So what are they doing for the city of Las Vegas?
No, and I think that's a great question. But I think that's what to start it off with. We want to know is like, as an opinion from each of us, how important is that to the city?
I mean, I think it's super important. But again, you also have to think that this team is coming from another city where they were so loved and so, Oakland went hard for the Raiders.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So there was no question about branding in the city. What they were doing in the city, they were all over the city.
Right.
And now you're uprooting them, which we had the same issue with Seattle on our basketball team when they uprooted and went to Oklahoma City.
Right.
You know what I mean? And moving fans and all that stuff like that. So I feel like there has to be an acclimation period. But you're right, though, that at some point they're going to have to engage Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's not enough news.
Yeah.
So, if there is any engagement that is going on, I would love for us to be the voice for them, for the city, knowing that they do exist and they're here engaged in the community, if at all. I haven't seen anything, though.
Guess what, Plug viewers?
Here you go.
I was able to pick up the telephone and reach out to the Raiders and actually get some answers to the questions that were brought up today on the show. And speaking with the gentleman didn't really want to be named, and the reason for him not wanting to be named is just because he didn't feel like he was the true affiliate to be able to pass on the information.
Right.
Probably their PR team and things handle this, but he really wanted to address that. The Raiders have been involved with Las Vegas actually since 2018.
Oh, nice.
When they decided they were coming here, they jumped right in to Las Vegas and started planting their seeds and putting stuff through. And I've got some specifics that came straight from his text message to my text message. Won't let anyone know who sent me that message.
Here you go.
But, he just wanted it to be known that, the Raiders have donated over 735 cleats to youth sports and involvement for kids right here in the city.
Oh, wow.
They've done, since 2018, they provided over 300,000 meals during COVID. So, I don't know if anybody knew this, but, when COVID hit and the schools were shut down, you could still go to school as a student to get your free meals, whether it be breakfast and lunch. And throughout the city as well, there are many families that have bills that are owed to the
school,
Clark County School District, etc. And through all the states in Nevada, or all the cities in Nevada, they have this kind of system where the school districts and families owe money to those school districts.
Right.
Well, the Raiders came into Las Vegas and cut all of that debt. So
Wow.
every person
Wow.
that had debt with the food and beverage for the youth and for schools, the Raiders canceled that debt, and it's all zero. So now everyone is debt free when it comes to money owed to Clark County School District
For
or
meals.
anywhere in Nevada
For lunches,
the
right.
meals, lunches, etc. So that was huge. They served over 20,000 kids throughout their youth camps and things like that. So they do their own youth camps right here, the Raiders Junior Training Camp.
Wow.
That's been going on since 2018. It happens annually. And the owner himself pledged over $1 million to the Nevada COVID task force.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, obviously, in sense of trying to keep us all healthy and do everything, it looks like that the Raiders are really like trying to get tapped in, right? They're trying to do things for us. And there's so much more information that we could tune in together when we go through online. And that's one of the reasons why I have my laptop up today, was just because there was a facet of things that people can find. And all you have to do really is just go to Raiders.com and tune in, and then look up the /link of community. And when you do that for the Raiders, you'll be able to see all the information of other things they do throughout the city. Also, anyone who owns a nonprofit, the Raiders have money that they do donate. So you can reach out to the Raiders with your requests from your nonprofit, and they may or may not accept it, I guess, depending on how it correlates with them. But
Wow.
the
That's
Raiders
cool.
are happy to be in Las Vegas, and they're eager to do so much more. And the contact I had, he wanted to emphasize that their biggest focus is the youth. You know, the long-term building generation Raider fans. So
Nice.
And I feel like that's important too, because both of you are in the youth football space here in Vegas, especially you. Like, do you think it's important? Like, I mean, you guys work with kids that get, picked up by colleges and they're the top of their game. Do you think that having the Raiders here is going to change that dynamic a little bit and have like a team to look up to? Because I know growing up, like football players in my high school looked up to the Seahawks or the Giants or whatever. Is that going to play a factor in like the kids here and shining light on the kids that are coming out of Las Vegas from that standpoint?
I feel like it will in some ways, because it enhances that dream, right? Like, I know, being from the DMV area, every time I drove by the Redskins Stadium, like, I dreamt of playing there, right? I had visions. It was kind of like that eager urge to feel like that's going to be me one day. And now having that stadium, I think it increases people's mental visual. And anytime you can envision something, you get that extra motivation to try to see yourself be able to achieve it.
Right.
So I think having a major sports team here like the Raiders creates a better football dream.
Absolutely. Especially with UNLV being right down the street.
Right.
That's why I was saying community engagement is so important, because you have a major sports team here. It's changing the dynamics of Las Vegas, the city of Las Vegas. So you have to have a brand that is known in our backyard.
Right.
Like, it's all great that the Bay Area, Oakland, has an attachment to the team, but we're in Las Vegas now.
Right.
So what are we going to do to figure out our attachment to the team?
Right.
That's awesome facts.
Right.
And if we could be a part of that in any way, in connecting with the Las Vegas Raiders on a more permanent basis,
Right.
we're here for that. We're here to be a voice of help
That's a good
and
point.
exposure to the
And
to
I
the
feel
Raiders.
like we should call out our audience too. And I feel like if y'all have some that you want to see from the Raiders, let us know in the comments under this episode. Or if you want to see them doing more things in the city or specific charities and things like that. I feel like that's also a good way for our audience to engage with them, kind of using us as the vessel. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
DM us at PlugTheShow on Instagram
Yeah.
and let us know if you have any ideas. We would love to be the voice for you guys.
Yeah.
That's very
But
true.
listen, I got to say this. Second episode, she's opened up with that nice segment that I'm looking forward to.
We love a drink.
Yeah, you already know. So we got to get to that next segment, Drinks with Drea.
It's an important one too, because I heard there's some people are specific about their liquor. You know what I mean? So,
Well, we know
yeah.
that person isn't Henry, because he's not a non-drinker, so.
Well, I am specific about my juice.
Liquids.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
His water.
Yeah. Anyway, we about to go ahead and hit Drinks with Drea. Get them drinks
Can I
on
get
deck.
at least get a tall glass?
You can get a Shirley Temple. Alright guys, so we're back at the bar again
Right.
with our special guest.
Okay.
But I had to create something a little special for you and I, because you know, you don't drink. So, and I felt like we kind of did you a little dirty last episode.
I got a plug thrown in my face.
So it might have not tasted as good. So we got a special drink for you too.
Awesome.
But we're gonna talk about your drink because you're the guest.
Yeah, your
Oh,
mocktail.
wow.
It's all right. It's all right. I shouldn't be at the bar, I'm sure,
All right.
but it's all right.
It's all good. You're a grown man. You can be at any bar you want.
That's questionable. All right.
the jab.
Well,
The jab.
Look
No.
at the color though.
isn't
The
this
aesthetic.
cute?
The aesthetic.
It's like a Shirley Temple.
I'm digging this. What's
No,
this?
you don't like that? Okay. Yours is Disaronno and Remy.
Okay.
And I know you like dark liquor, but you gotta explain to us why. Because I feel like there's a reason. Because you're very adamant. You're like dark liquor only.
Yeah. Well, preferably. Yeah, for me, it's my social drink.
Okay.
And it comes from my grandmother, my maternal grandmother.
Okay.
She had a full cabinet of brown liquor. And it was everything from Cavassier to Scotch, cognac, bourbon, whiskey,
like my kind of
brandy.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah, she had all this. She used to play cards, you know, have her friends over, play the blues. So these would be their drinks of choice. So watching them growing up, literally, I would look at all the drinks, brown liquor.
Right.
There was no clear liquor there.
Okay.
And I got my taste of all of these brown liquors going to, I believe it was it was Winter Ball or Homecoming, one of the two. But I actually snuck and poured all these different bottles of liquor
Wow.
into
All of
this
them into
big.
one drink?
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought they were just different brands.
Right.
I didn't know that they were different liquors
Got it.
until I put them all into the cup and snuck the cup out to go to the dance.
How'd you feel the next morning?
We were wasted. It was me, my god brother, and one of my other best friends. And that night was wild.
Oh, I
Right.
bet.
Yeah, he ended up driving on the other side of the road in the suburb about 20 minutes away.
Shout
Luckily,
out
we
to
didn't get
surviving.
pulled.
I know, thank
Shout out
God
not
he
getting pulled
survived.
over
Right.
and surviving.
Don't drink and drive.
No drinking and driving. So, yeah, I got my first taste of it then, and then it was just, there was opportunities for me to drink it, and
Right.
even in college, I drank dark liquor.
Was she the cool kind of grandma that let you sip a little bit, just to try it, or was she don't touch my liquor cabinet?
Her rule was, that's funny you asked. I asked her for some wine one New Year's Eve. This obviously I think I was underage, maybe like 19.
Okay.
So I said, Grandma, can I get some wine? She's like, yeah, but you can't leave. So that was her rule. She's like, you can drink it here, but you can't leave the house.
Household lessons.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she wanted me, if I were gonna have fun, to stay home. Now obviously I wasn't feeling that.
Right.
You're like,
You
I'm
know,
trying to go
it's like,
see
wow,
friends.
yeah, I'm trying to go kick it.
Right.
But that she wouldn't let me do that though.
Okay.
But I very rarely took that opportunity to drink those, drinks with her just because, I was trying to kick it with my friends.
Right.
But I respected that rule though. So
Right.
I would avoid trying to come in the house intoxicated around her, at least that she could see it.
Right.
Okay.
And yeah, but she was a brown liquor drinker. And so when I went through life, these are my preferences. I would take any of each of them to learn about, how to drink them. Technically with brown liquor, you're not supposed to put a lot of ice in it.
Right.
You shouldn't dilute it with
Right.
any other liquid. So yeah, I became a dark liquor connoisseur.
Well, I think you're gonna like this.
Okay.
We're gonna get more into your story back on the couch.
Okay.
But let's try this. Let's cheers to Grandma
Okay, yeah.
and her liquor choices.
Yes, rest
cheers.
in peace, grandma. Cheers. Hey.
Back to the couch.
Hey.
This drink fire.
Man.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I did my thing with that one.
You know it's fire.
Me and Jackson. Shout out to Jackson. 'Cause
Yeah.
He be helping me at the bar.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we got Henry's personal designer here.
I know.
So, you know what I'm saying? Hectage, you can look him up on IG, Hectage. He got the same drink I'm drinking right now. He in the audience. Cheers to Hectage. You can look him up on IG. Personal stylist for Henry.
Okay.
Gotta get mine.
He said
Gotta get
personal
mine.
style.
Yeah, I ain't got my style.
You know it's coming. Coming soon, Nick. We got one on order for you.
Oh,
if
yeah.
Heck can help you out, we're gonna send in something from back home. We got you.
Oh, absolutely. We gotta get the pack.
This a non-alcoholic drink is actually kind of good.
Yeah, I
I like
actually
it.
enjoy it. I enjoy it.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna be back on the alcoholic beverage.
On the
next
plug drink next week?
But for now, we gonna rock with this.
So look who we have in our hot seat
Oh,
today.
God. Here we go.
Look at
I
our hot
know.
seat.
Wait, we gotta rewind it though. We gotta go back because we've covered a few topics already in this
Okay.
episode, specifically the Raiders.
Yeah.
Which I know you have a huge tie into the NFL and the creative and branding space as it pertains to players and certain teams.
Mm-hmm.
So let's rewind your history a little bit and
Okay.
start somewhere in there. Like, how did you even fall into the branding and creative space?
Okay, well, we were specifically speaking about the NFL and teams. So I have a very close friend of mine and someone that's like a brother. Shout out to Braylon Edwards. He's still like a brother to me to this day.
Got it.
He actually gave me my opportunity. And it's wild because I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, which I, thoroughly rep. I went to a big football college. Big football high school. Glenville High School, shout out to Glenville. Produced mega stars in the NFL. Still, some of them playing to this day. A lot of them actually playing in the NFL. But it was Braylon who gave me my opportunity to work in the NFL. So I actually was around him a lot when he got drafted to the Cleveland Browns,
Awesome.
Okay.
ironically. So it wasn't until he got traded to New York, it was when we actually got an opportunity to work with one another.
Okay.
And from there, it was combining you would have a traditional experience of getting an internship and working for an agency.
Right.
It was basically all this combined and condensed into about 5 years of experience together. And from that experience, I was able to interact with CAA, which was his agency at the time.
Okay.
I was actually able to interact with the New York Jets, actually exchange and communication with Rex Ryan and some of the other staff that work for the organization, even doing some pro bono work with some of his teammates.
Okay.
So yeah, we worked together from New York, and then the lockout happened, and there was this big window of time where we were trying to figure out where we were going to end up. We almost ended up in Arizona, but there's a series of events that's a conversation for another time, another day. But a series of events led us to San Francisco. And it was from there I actually interacted with the organization, San Francisco 49ers, and worked with Braylon during that time frame too.
Okay.
Before he ended his career there. And yeah, that was like it was a long journey. I had meetings with CAA. We've even pitched ideas for reality. So I sat in meetings at BET Networks, MTV Networks, Oxygen. The list goes on. Long laundry list of different networks we were pitching. But, I handled all of his foundation work alongside his mom, his financial advisor, and his publicist. Big family.
So you the brand manager, or what was your?
I handled
role?
all of his affairs off the field
Okay.
during that time.
Okay.
So I was his voice.
Okay.
He's consumed with work, and they had to go through me for everything. So I was his voice when he didn't want to speak.
And for those that don't know, Braylon Edwards wasn't just some player. He was a dog coming out of college and through his NFL
Oh, listen.
career.
Please believe he's still the best receiver in their history. So University of Michigan's history. So.
Braylon Edwards was
Top
really
3
a
pick.
baller coming on the football field. So to be able to interact with a name that was like a household name, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're thinking moving into New York, because New York is always
Big city.
the mecca of fashion, design, entertainment.
Everything.
So when you're in that market space, the opportunities have got to be huge. There's got to be like big time brands that you've been
Oh
able to-
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got plenty of stories. Well, first of all, it was a good fit for Braylon just because Detroit. He's from Detroit. Shout out to Detroit. I know I shout out everybody, but
Yeah,
I got to
yeah, I
give
like
my
it.
flowers.
Yeah,
The king of shout.
Hey, listen, I got to give the flowers. That's what we do. We connected. We the plug, right? So, New York was a great fit. He is a very well dressed man.
Right.
Coming from Detroit, and he obviously had a name to himself. So we were very well received in New York. The city
Awesome.
loved him, welcomed him with open arms. He was very successful there. And yeah, we had a lot of opportunities. There was one in particular I was actually mad at him about that he didn't take advantage of, but there was a reasonable, explanation behind why he didn't take the opportunity. But there was a photographer that used to shoot Madonna back in the early 80s, a very big photographer's name. I forget his name. But he wanted to come out of retirement to shoot all of these iconic figures in New York. And Braylon was pitched to that photographer over Eli Manning, over Mark Sanchez, who was his quarterback
Right.
and had a huge name back then. And amongst many other people that they could have picked, no New York Knick, they asked for Braylon specifically. And we didn't do the shoot. It was supposed to be in GQ.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a major magazine, and they were gonna cover. They had Mayor Bloomberg. I think Bloomberg was the mayor, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
I think they were gonna do Gaga. they had a long list of people that they were going to cover, and he was the only athlete.
Wow.
And we ended up not doing it, and we fought over that. Not
you
like
tell us
physical
why?
fight. Well, yeah, actually I will, because it actually gives Braylon a little bit more. There's a little bit more substance to who he is. He's very misunderstood for those who don't know his story.
Right.
When he got to New York, one of the biggest things before New York was him being a diva. Because he's a receiver, they were categorizing him as like a Terrell Owens, Chad Ochocinco, Randy Moss, these very vocal receivers. So when he was in Cleveland, he was like one of the first people that had a Bentley coupe. It was LeBron, Chauncey Billups, and then it was Braylon with the Bentley coupe like in 2005. So one of the biggest things that they tell you to do as a rookie, you have this symposium or a workshop where they tell you how to manage your money. And here comes Braylon. He's got custom suits.
Right.
He's got platinum chains.
Swaggy.
Oh, he had it all.
Yeah.
You know, Pradas and Ferragamo, Gucci slippers. So he personified money or flash.
Right.
And they were preaching to the players on how to manage money, and that was kind of one of the things that they didn't want players to gravitate towards. So when he gets to New York, he was concerned about that type of presence. He wanted to let them know he was a hard-nosed, dedicated team player.
Athlete first.
He's an athlete first.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to gravitate toward any of those opportunities because he didn't want to give off the idea that he was a diva.
Right. Or
He's-
distracted.
Or distracted, yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing about the NFL, which I learned, is unless you're like the quarterback, well, we're not speaking about today's terms because you got a lot of flash and it's accepted because we have the internet and social media.
Right.
But back then, we really only had Facebook and Twitter. So we were very mindful of being distracted. And when he got to New York, that was his concern. He loved New York. It's one of our best experiences together. It's, you know, some of the most successful times he's had in the NFL. And he wanted to make a name for with the Jets organization. So he didn't want to seem like he was distracted, so he declined doing it. And for me, from a branding standpoint, we were talking about branding. For me, I felt slighted a little bit behind it because I wanted him to brand himself.
Right.
Like if you know him as a person, he's very well spoken. He's articulate as well, very knowledgeable outside of the sport of football. And I was just thinking, like, your time as a football player is a short window.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want you to make an impact. And New York is the perfect place to do it. So that was where I felt slighted, and it didn't, like, it wasn't, we didn't beef about it too long. But I made my opinion known, and we debated about it.
Opinion?
Oh, yeah, I had to let him know how I felt. That's my brother.
Right.
But I had to keep it real
For
with
y'all
him.
don't know, he has opinions.
Oh, yeah, I'm very opinionated.
Opinions.
Very
Okay.
opinionated.
I like it.
But, yeah, that was why we didn't do the photo shoot.
Okay.
But yeah, we've been, front, like, red carpet for ESPYs, Super Bowl events, all of that stuff.
What was the most challenging thing about branding and working with an athlete of that caliber?
Well, if you know brands or branding, or if you don't, when you talk about brands like Pepsi or Coca-Cola, that's not a physical person.
Right.
When you're dealing with a physical person, you have to take into accountability what that person's about. And, Braylon wasn't just he got like 40 million. He was one of the last athletes that got 40 million
Big
in his
bag
contract.
in the first
And I can talk about that because that's public information.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not counting his pockets. But he was one of the last ones to get 40 million as a rookie. That's a lot of money in the NFL at the time. So I would say that if your focus is not branding, like taking every opportunity, then those things don't matter to you. Like I can go on and on about things that didn't necessarily matter to him. And he took a lot of opportunities to brand himself. Like he's got a lot of things that people can research. They're like, oh, okay, cool. He was a part of that. Like he was one of the first athletes to do 5-hour energy.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And then when he was endorsed by Nike, and I won't disclose how much he was paid from Nike, but he was very well paid to not be a poster child for Nike.
Okay.
So he knew brands,
Yeah.
but every single opportunity he may not have taken a liking to. So as from a branding standpoint, that becomes challenging because I may see the opportunity, but he may not necessarily see it.
Right.
You know, that was the most challenging thing that I've experienced working with him because I saw it. And there's
Right.
things that have materialized for other athletes or just things that have materialized in social media where I can pinpoint back in 2012 or 2011 through 2012 or
Right.
just things that I saw these opportunities early on.
Yeah.
But it's hard when, you know, he's got a lot of he had a lot of pressure on his shoulders.
And
you know.
he's the one that has to sell it at the end of the day.
Yeah, and if he didn't, that's the
It's
part
not
about
your
it too.
image,
Yeah, it's not my image, it's his
Right.
image. So that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think the NFL puts a lot of pressure on that because
Absolutely.
their lock in is they're the brand, they're the shield,
Yep.
protect this.
Protect the shield.
And I mean, like, just through documentaries and actually knowing Michael Irvin back
Oh,
in
yeah.
the day, that was the Cowboys way. Like, anybody would follow the Cowboys in the early
Absolutely.
90s.
Yep.
When Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, when they all scored a touchdown, they took their helmet off
Yep.
because they were
They want you to
envious.
see 'em,
They
yeah.
were envious of basketball players having that known face.
Right.
And then the NFL went back and you got fined for taking off your helmet
Yep.
because they were getting that facial recognition and notoriety. And
Yep.
that brand, because it's so large and it's controlled how they do their segment, they almost predicate which faces they
Oh
choose
yeah, they
to
absolutely
be a
predicate
face.
the face.
So
It's who they
sometimes
decide.
there's some backdoor, I don't want to use the word brainwashing, but there's some backdoor information fed that you shouldn't be the face. So sometimes, you know, behind the scenes, there's probably some pressure in his ear, like,
Oh, it was.
You know,
I mean, just with the photo shoot,
right,
there was another player that he was close friends with. Won't disclose
right,
his
right,
name just
understood.
for the sake of privacy. But he was labeled as kind of, you know, flashy.
right,
Right.
And these guys were best friends at the time. So he saw the backlash his friend was getting, and he was like, "Oh, I can't. I'm still gonna be me,
Yeah.
Right.
but I don't want that pressure
right.
So-
Get it.
of
Yeah.
I don't want that pressure of being labeled. I
Right.
want to, you know, I'm a block for my other receivers. I'm a block for my backs. You know, that's work outside of catching the football. That's his job is to catch a football. But I'm doing all these other intangible things to show that I'm a team player. So yeah, I mean the NFL. That was one of the lessons I learned with the NFL. Is it's about what they want, and they're going to control the narrative as much as they can.
course.
And there was other parts of our journey that I witnessed that firsthand, and that's another conversation for another day.
Well, and that's because NFL is not the only thing
No.
you've done. That's
No,
not
no.
that's not been your only journey. And we would classify, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he's probably our fashion guru. Fashion.
for
I
sure.
mean,
Don't
we
put that
love
much pressure on
fashion,
me.
but this one loves him some fashion.
Right.
And you're swaggy with it, but you
Appreciate
also
you.
broke into the fashion world,
Yes.
like shortly after you worked with Jalen in the NFL.
Well, I personally am like a jack of all trades.
Okay.
So there's many things that I like, and when the opportunity presents itself, I'll gravitate towards that. And I got an opportunity to work with Goodwood NYC. So Goodwood, there was a point in time in the early 2000s, so it was like 2010, 2009, 2010, where no one was wearing jewelry, physical, like real jewelry, physical jewelry.
Okay.
And Goodwood pops up with wooden accessories. So it was the perfect storm because the wooden accessories, the person that created the company was like a hippie. She was like a hipster. How it started is she was doing rings. And she was, you know, doing pop-ups and stuff like that with these rings. And her business partner, who was the one that discovered me, he financed it. He wrote a blank check to start Goodwood. He was
Do
big
we
in real
know his
estate.
name? We need a blank check.
Or rest in peace, Steve Yakuboff. That was my guy. You know, so I actually moved into New York working with Braylon and the Jets. My one of my family members hit me up and asked me for this Jesus piece. And he's like, yo, you know, bro, you out in New York, and I know you got contacts. I know you the plug. You got to find this wooden necklace. Basically, it's a wooden necklace
Right.
of the Jesus piece. So,
Oh, I remember those. Those were fire.
yeah, absolutely.
I used to want one forever.
Yeah, so
Obviously, I didn't know how
Goodwood
to
was the
find
one that
one, but-
started that wave.
Okay.
And I didn't know how to find it. It was because of my brother, my little bro. Shout out to Jay Hen. He watches the show too. He loves the show. He texted me and said, "Hey,
Good looking,
I'm gonna be watching every episode. So surprise, brother, you getting a shout out." But Jay, he and Justin, he hit me about the Goodwood piece.
Okay.
So I couldn't come up short. He in Cleveland expected me to pull through with this piece.
You gotta be the plug.
So I pulled that H. Crockett over here. I got on the phone. So
It works every time.
I get on the phone and I call Goodwood. This heavy Long Island accent picks up. And I'm not gonna do it because I don't want nobody clowning me.
Don't
'cause I
butcher
can do
it.
So I definitely butcher it. But I introduce myself. I explain who I represent, why I'm in New York, and luckily enough, this guy was a Jets fan.
Oh yeah.
As soon as I said Jets, he was like, "Oh, really?" So that relationship ended up turning into dinner meetings, multiple dinner meetings, and I got him accounts with no pay. I got him accounts at the my people's clothing line or clothing store in Cleveland. I got him accounts in Phoenix. I got him multiple accounts.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And yeah, we just developed this relationship, and then we fell out of touch. Like we even actually, let me rewind. I got custom pieces done not only for myself, but I got them for players, for Jets players, and I just helped them brand Goodwood just because I love the brand.
Right.
And I got my brother his pieces and stuff like that. I'm getting unreleased pieces. I got a lot of my friends' pieces when it was fly to wear it.
That's dope.
Yeah, I didn't know people would love wood like wooden jewelry on their necks, not wood.
Sorry.
Sounds
Pause.
crazy. No,
Pause.
I didn't know that they would like those type of accessories then.
Right.
So how I ended up working with them is when me and Braylon stopped working professionally together, I took this big hiatus in Miami.
Sabbatical.
Yeah, sabbatical. And at the end of the sabbatical, I was like, I gotta get back to New York. And I went back to New
Always
York.
go back to New York.
And there was this moment where I was like, I just got to hit my guy Steve up. So I emailed Steve about this other opportunity, and he was so excited to connect with me again
Right.
that he was like, "Yo, when I come back from out of town," he was in Italy. So when I come back from Italy, we got to sit down and have dinner. You know how we do. We got to have a dinner meeting. So I'm like, he's like, I got an opportunity I want to present to you, and I don't know if you're up for it, but I'm gonna present it anyway. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I think this dude want to offer me a position. I was like, let me prepare.
Right.
So we have dinner. He blesses me with more accessories. He's like, I want you to become our creative director. He's like, but I'm completely sold. You've done so much for the company. You haven't asked for any money. And I'm so grateful for it because it put us in the space to make more money and build a bigger brand. I think it's fitting to involve you onto the team. But you have to convince my business partner and our operations manager.
So you had to do a pitch.
I had to go pitch. So I was so excited. This actually leads into the other part that we was talking about off camera with my other guy. I was so excited about this opportunity. I go home and I hit my boy Alexander John, AJ. His name's Alexander John Designs on Instagram. Go look him up. So I hit my boy AJ and I say, hey, I got this. I couldn't find AJ's number, so I hit him on LinkedIn. And I said, AJ.
People sleep on LinkedIn.
People super sleep on LinkedIn. But I had no other way to find him.
Right.
So I hit him up on there. I was like, yo, I think I got this opportunity. You're a creative. We gotta get on the phone ASAP. He was like, yo, that's mad crazy because I've been trying to get in touch with Goodwood because I got this idea. And I'm like, word. Well, let's get on the phone. So we had this long, lengthy conversation. I was like, yo, if I sign this contract, because I pitched Monday, if I sign this contract, I need you in Brooklyn because it's based out of Brooklyn. He's like, oh, that's crazy. I'm going to already be in New York anyway.
Wow.
So I end up pitching, convinced the operations manager and my guy's business partner. I signed a contract. I get pretty much put on payroll. And Steve, the owner at the time, was like, I want to transition the brand. We already been doing the accessories. We've been killing this game. I want to go into more of the accessories, home accessories, humidors, cabinets. He's like, most of people's houses are built with furniture based around wood.
Right.
So I want to transition, and I think you'd be the guy to help me do it. I said, it's crazy. I got a meeting set up for us Monday. in this meeting is Alexander John and Kelton Crenshaw. Now, Kelton Crenshaw, shout out to Kelton. Kelton is an attorney for Clutch Sports right now. So he's directly connected to Rich Paul and LeBron James.
Okay.
These are all my Cleveland guys. Alexander John works with Emory Jones, who is Jay-Z's guy today. He works with Emory Jones in this era right now. He's also worked with LL Cool J. And did Rock the Bills capsule. He just dropped a Puma sneaker on Foot Locker. He's worked with WWE, Nickelodeon. He was on T.I.'s reality show based off entrepreneurs.
Oh, so he connected through.
He's all the way connected. This is my guy.
Right.
So one of the accounts I got my guys at Goodwood was an account at his store. He was one of the first ones, him and Don Burton and my guy Bunchy. These guys owned a clothing store. They were really the ones that broke the skateboard scene to Cleveland before Cleveland caught on. So that whole bait look, the stuff Pharrell and Lil Wayne was doing, they broke that to Cleveland before any like suburban or urban gear store had even introduced it.
Wow.
So AJ, I get on the phone with AJ. AJ's like, yo, I'm flying in. AJ was doing the Brooklyn Zoo Jordan 1 sneaker for Jay-Z.
Oh.
Google it. It's everywhere.
It's
He wore
everywhere.
that shoe to the Brooklyn Nets game. Jay-Z wore it like multiple times.
So many times.
So he basically it's this Jordan 1 that's made of animal skin.
Okay.
And
can I get the pair? Can I get a pair?
well, no, they discontinued. You'd have to holler at AJ to see if they're gonna relaunch
on
it.
StockX for
But-
like $5,000.
Yeah, they on StockX for $5,000. It was at Urban Necessities here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal, and we did the packaging for that shoe.
Wow.
And we did an event at LeBron's Boutique Unknown in Miami. It was a partnership with Duce, Steph Loss, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers DJ, and one of LeBron's DJs was he DJ'd it. It was a great event. We did a release there. We went on to work on a project for Meek Mill, so I actually knew about Meek Mill signing the Puma, which was back in 2012, and before I think everybody else knew about it. That relationship existed a long time ago. We did a shoe for them, which was the Dreams and Nightmares Puma. It was 2 different shoes. We laser engraved the skins. We did a Microsoft event in LA, where we did this big capsule for Microsoft. So me and
Super big name.
yeah, so me and AJ had this long working relationship before he separated from the company that he was representing at the time and going to do his own thing.
Okay.
So that segued me and AJ's relationship and how we work together. But I mentioned those names because those guys are near and dear to me, and they're doing great things right now.
Well, it sounds like you were also like such a plug in your city, but you guys were able to take your city and brand it outside into the rest of the country, like with everything that you guys were doing in Cleveland.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is I wasn't in Cleveland.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you
I was
guys
outside
were
of
able to
Cleveland.
like still bring the Cleveland name, but you were New York,
Yeah.
Florida, San Francisco. What, he's in Arizona or was in Arizona?
AJ's in Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta.
Yeah,
okay.
AJ's in Atlanta. Kelton was in Cleveland.
Okay.
So it was just a connection that we have in Cleveland. They consider us a major city, but the circles we all know each other.
Right.
Even though we're
They're
not
small.
best friends, we're still considerably close. Like I can get any of these guys on the horn and catch up. So and me and AJ still are working on potential projects together too, whenever he's not busy. But yeah, we were putting the city on our back because that was the thing. We knew that we had to represent the city. And we knew that some of the opportunities back then, now not the case, but back then we had to leave to go get it.
Right.
Like one of my mentors was the vice president of marketing for IMG. And I say was because he's most likely promoted several times since he had that title.
Right.
But IMG was based out of downtown Cleveland, but they also have an academy in Florida.
Right, big time.
So yeah, my guy
cousin
was
went there.
literally Carlos Fleming. He was somebody I looked up to because this guy was all over the place. But that's how we knew to do it. We had to leave to go get the opportunities.
Right.
And the guys, Kelton and AJ and a couple of other my friends stayed behind. When LeBron was in Cleveland, these were the go-to guys for LeBron.
Right.
So anything that you want to do in the city, you had to hit them up.
Now,
So that was our opportunities.
Now you left Cleveland, and one day it all journeyed you into Las Vegas.
Right.
Get us here.
Okay. So obviously I told you my background in sports.
Right.
That led me to live in Detroit. It led me to live in New York, San Francisco, or San Jose. And I ended up, that's an unstable environment. And I had to take a sabbatical from that. And I ended up having my beautiful kids that I had to really focus on. I was away from them.
Twins.
I do. And there was a moment where I didn't spend a lot of time with them when they were first born. So me leaving to take that sabbatical was to focus on my personal life. That led me to going to Florida. Now, when I get to Florida, I wanted to find something stable. I still wanted to be Nick Bean and be creative, but I had to find the right organization that would allow me to do it within their means.
Right.
And that led me to Top Golf.
Okay.
Now,
Explain what Topgolf is, because not a lot of people, I didn't know until I went to Atlanta. So
Okay.
what is Topgolf?
So Top Golf is this big interactive space. It's like bowling or Lucky Strike meets golf.
Right.
So when you think of Top Golf, you have this big entertainment space where you can get into a bay, which is like a booth. This bay, you're able to get your balls dispensed to you. The balls have microchips in them, RFID chips, and the targets are all computerized out in the field. So you're hitting these balls into the field, and they're keeping score based off of what type of game you pick.
Right.
So if you're a beginner golfer, there's a game for you. If you're an experienced golfer, there's a game. If you just want to socialize and not be as competitive in like a technical space of actually learning how to play golf, you can pretty much pick a game. There's a game literally for everybody. And great food.
Right.
You can drink there, live entertainment. So this thing took storm.
Idea. Access the plug at Topgolf.
I mean, sure.
Let's really take our audience there and show them what it's really about.
Well, I know there's Top Golfs everywhere. So when I discovered Top Golf, actually it was in 2013 is when I discovered that they were opening in Scottsdale. And when I moved to Florida, I knew that they were opening one in Tampa. So I wanted to be a part of the organization. I ended up getting hired. I started working with their VIPs in the sales department, so I dealt with the memberships there. I also trained the employees. They call them associates. So I trained them on the culture. There was a lot of different things. I wore different hats there at Top Golf in Tampa.
Right.
But I wanted to be. I lived in the West Coast, doing some stuff out on the West Coast out here, and I wanted to get back west. And the opportunity for me to get back west was when Top Golf partnered with MGM. They made a huge announcement. I had only been in Tampa about a year and a half, and they were like, "We're partnering with MGM." Big PR, publicity behind it.
MGM love them some PR.
Oh yeah. So we ended up moving from Florida to Vegas. I took my family with me, and that's what landed me here. I ended up opening up this venue, which is the largest venue in the company still.
Right.
It probably will be the largest venue unless they do something large overseas.
Is it on an MGM property? Or is it on?
It is.
Okay.
It is definitely is right by the Signature in the MGM and the Convention Center. So Convention Center parking lot, Top Golf.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So it's on MGM's property. They're partnered with MGM, and we've done so much. I ended up becoming a part of the sales department here, and opened up doing the events, also training associates. I had a couple little marketing opportunities. We did Kenny Smith's halftime analysis. A couple years back, it was when the Cavaliers were playing Golden State. So he did a halftime
Can't
analysis.
get rid of Cleveland, huh?
Hey, listen, yeah,
Just kidding.
but yeah, he did the halftime analysis. His daughter performed. She's
Okay.
an artist.
Very
Yep.
Yep.
And that was all marketed. I think they did almost 500,000. No, it's 250,000 streams
Wow.
through their platforms. Maybe more. I don't want to take anything from them, but it was a great turnout. And yeah, that's what led me to Top Golf. So I was able to get my corporate experience. There was some opportunities for me to potentially, apply for a position in sponsorships, which would have taken me out of Vegas. It would have taken me into San Francisco.
Okay.
And that was my ceiling, where I felt like I wanted to take a break from that and go back into the creative world. I got my personal life together, so I knew that the corporate world, that was only short term.
Right.
Right.
And obviously it allowed me to build a lot of great relationships. My guy Daryl, our producer,
Hey.
Shout out
Love
Daryl.
him.
yeah, if I never took the job here in Las Vegas, I wouldn't have met you guys, at least not on these terms,
Right.
or be shooting this
Okay.
show. So it worked. It served its purpose.
Right.
Where do you see Nick Beam now? Like now you're out of the corporate space. You said your personal life is where you would like it to be. What is next for you outside of being our amazing co-host?
Well, I mean, there's always room for me to creatively consult with others based off of my experience in all of these different facets. I'm building my own personal brand.
Okay.
So I have this show that I love. This is my baby, along with my other show, Friends and Brands. It's a podcast,
Right.
not a show.
No.
Shout out to my guy Mark Wilkins and JB. And it's having a voice. That's the biggest thing. Is I wanted a voice. When Henry called me about this project, I was like, yeah, man. I get a chance to work alongside you guys and be a voice. That's really what I want to be in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is known for a lot of different things.
Right.
The obvious things. I wanted to transition
In that
above
conversation.
that. Well, yeah, I just wanted to be different. I didn't want to come and promote any, hotel or casinos. I didn't want to promote any pool parties
Right.
or nightclubs. Not saying there's anything wrong with it.
No.
It's just that I've been around the block so many times, and in this place in my life, that's not something I particularly wanted to do. I wanted to be the voice. I wanted to be the voice of a newer environment.
And Nick's being humble because he was putting up numbers at Top Golf, right?
I made him a nice amount of money.
Like socially on the sales side of Top Golf before I ever had met a Nick, right? Tyler,
Yeah.
Gab.
Dilts, yeah.
Shout out Tyler. Shout out Gab.
Shout out the
Gab.
Toxic Hour.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we doing, man. It's love for everybody.
Yeah.
It's enough room for everybody.
But,
Shout out to our brother Gab.
The numbers you were putting up was highly spoken of on that outside world. So, because I remember people trying to connect us for other things.
Yeah.
Prior, and it did work out. And we're definitely happy to have you here on the plug because you've shown through your story that that's exactly what you've been, right? Your success in life has been connected to the people that you have able to meet, nurture through, grow up with, and pick up telephones and find. And because of that, to be able to find success on your own, we have to be able to speak just on that. That's really what I would want to close our audience with. It's just that, how would you want to tell our audience, how can they personally take that risk and just be a creative mind instead of being locked in on a job? Because you walked away from a great check.
Yes, I did.
So what
It still hurts.
how would you tell our audience,
Hey,
where's the confidence?
bruh.
Where's the confidence in that? How would you get for our audience who's in that job that they're just not able to touch the creative space? What would you say? How do you venture into that?
Well, I think we get lost in not wanting to dream anymore.
Right.
And I've always been a dreamer, and I would encourage anybody watching to never stop dreaming. There's always ways to do something, and there's more resources now than that has ever been before. So, yeah, don't get hung up in money. Money isn't everything. Because I'll tell you this, I made a nice amount of money there, but it masked my happiness. I wasn't really happy. I just bought stuff to mask that. That stuff didn't mean anything. And what ends up happening is you end up making so much money, and then you create a lifestyle. Now you're caught up in maintaining that lifestyle.
Right.
Bills, right? You're creating more bills. So the idea of being a starving artist is loving what you do, and making your ends meet however you can, and materializing that dream.
Right.
And if you don't make as much as you did at a corporate job, well, you're happy, and your means are met, and you're creating.
Right.
That's far greater than anything that you could do in the corporate world and make all the money in the world. You'll still be unhappy. It's peace of mind.
Right.
Right. And then eventually, if you do what you do well, somebody will pay you top dollar for it. So that's my advice for anybody watching.
I like it. Well, we're out of drinks.
Yeah, I was just about to say
head
that.
to the bar.
And if
Wait,
mine
before
is
we go,
empty.
we're gonna name this. We're gonna name this the Beam. What we gonna name this drink?
I don't know, because Jim Beam exists, so
Okay, so what do you want us to be?
I don't know. What we gonna name it?
It's your drink.
We call it the Beam. It's cool. We
The
keep
Beam.
it the Beam. We keep it the Beam. It's the Beam
And
exclusively at the plug. Don't go asking for it nobody else. Plug at Bloom. Yeah.
Right.
Bloom.
Come to Bloom, you can get you a plug, you can get you a beam, and you
And
can get
the Crockett.
Yeah,
aka
yeah,
the
if you're a
Shirley Temple.
non-drinker.
Yeah.
The Shirley.
And you can get a
Yeah.
good time, man, because I always have a good time coming here, and I enjoy everybody on the show. And we got a special guest next week.
Word. But we ain't gonna disclose that. Y'all kind of see the trend we going in.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, to the bar we go.
To the bar we go.
All right. We ain't cheers with no damn empty drink.
No,
What?
that's unlucky.
I guess an undrinker wouldn't know.
I am the plug. I am the plug.